Life is a lot like this climb. It isn't always easy. But good boots help. Welcome to DAMGARDT.
The world of heritage bootmaking is anchored by a few foundational shapes, but perhaps none is as deeply woven into the history of the American West as the White's boots 4811 last. As the fundamental mold around which the leather is stretched, shaped, and secured, a boot last dictates not just the aesthetics of the footwear, but its entire biomechanical identity. Among the vast array of patterns and lasts developed over the past century, the 4811 stands alone as the bedrock of the Pacific Northwest bootmaking tradition. To understand the 4811 last is to understand the history of American logging, the evolution of wildland firefighting, and the relentless pursuit of orthotic support in extreme conditions. The origins, a necessity in the Pacific Northwest. The lineage of White's boots stretches back to well before the 4811 last was ever carved. The legacy began in 1853 when Edward White established a one-man shoe shop in Connecticut, marking the start of a family bootmaking dynasty that would span 3 generations until 1972. While Edward began the tradition, his son John expanded it, eventually moving to the Shenandoah Valley in 1880, where early versions of their work boots were field-tested by loggers and miners in the Blue Ridge Mountains. However, the true catalyst for the 4811 last was the family's migration to the Pacific Northwest. In 1889, John decided to move the family business out west, and in 1900, John and his ambitious son, Otto White, set up shop in Wardner, Idaho. The rugged, unforgiving terrain of the western mountains presented new challenges for workmen who spent their entire days standing on steep, uneven ground. Otto realized that traditional flat-soled boots were causing immense fatigue and foot trauma for the loggers and miners who were building the region's infrastructure. He set out to master the hand-welted work boot and provide a permanent solution to the debilitating foot pain experienced by these workers. The genesis of the 4811 and the Arch Ease trademark innovation. The breakthrough arrived in the 1920s. In 1926, the 4811 last was officially developed and trademarked as one of the original Arch Ease lasts. This design was entirely revolutionary for its time. Rather than allowing the foot to flatten out under heavy loads, which strains the plantar fascia and leads to severe fatigue, the 4811 last was carved to build a robust, leather-supported arch directly into the boot's foundation. The Arch Ease philosophy, engineered by Otto White, positioned the heel in a way that shifted the wearer's weight down through the heel and outside of the foot, rather than crushing the arch. By creating a last that required a thick, built-up leather arch and an underslung heel, Otto crafted a boot that effectively bridged the gap between the ball of the foot and the heel. When standing on a sharply angled mountainside or balancing on a felled tree, this massive arch support proved vital. The anatomy and design of the 4811 last. To truly appreciate the 4811, one must look closely at its anatomical features. The last is heavily sculpted, providing a distinct silhouette and an uncompromising fit that has barely changed since 1926. The medium-high logger arch. The defining characteristic of the 4811 last is its pronounced medium-high arch. It is designed to work in tandem with a classic, tall logger heel to fully support the foot's natural curve. The toe box. The front of the 4811 last offers a subtle, contoured toe box. It is crafted with a healthy amount of vertical volume, height and width, from top to bottom. This generous space allows the foot, specifically the toes, the necessary room to splay and relax during intense physical labor, preventing blisters and cramped digits. It provides significantly more toe room than many other lasts in their lineup. the form-fitting heel. In contrast to the roomy toe box, the heel of the 4811 is carved to be narrow and form-fitting. This creates a distinct heel shape designed to hold the heel fast and secure. This tight grip is essential for mobility and security when navigating steep, unpredictable forest terrain, preventing heel slip and subsequent friction. The break-in process for a boot built on the 4811 last is famously arduous. Because the arch is so high and the leather material so thick, the initial wears can be challenging. However, the last is designed so that as the heavy leather insole and leather shank compress under the wearer's weight and heat, they conform exactly to the individual's foot. The 4811 makes a boot that was explicitly intended to get better with age. Once the break-in is pushed past, the result is a custom-fitted, die-hard companion. The birth of the Smokejumper. While the 4811 began its life known as a logger last, its legacy was permanently altered and elevated by the advent of airborne wildland firefighting in the late 1930s. The 4811 is deeply synonymous with the Smokejumper boot, a title it earned through its performance in extreme life-or-death situations. The turning point occurred on November 10, 1939. Francis Lufkin, an employee of the United States Forest Service who spent his days walking mountain trails and felling trees, made the first parachute jump as part of an experimental airborne firefighting program in the Methau Valley, Washington. Lufkin swore by his White's boots, and for this historic, dangerous first jump, he wore his White's summer loggers, boots built precisely on the 4811 last. The jump was a success, and Lufkin continued to wear his 4811 lasted boots throughout his career as a smoke jumper. When he later became an instructor, he encouraged all his trainees to wear the same footwear. The boots offered exactly what paratrooping firefighters needed: heavy leather uppers to protect the ankles upon impact, a high arch to absorb the shock of landing, and an aggressive heel to bite into the dirt and stop them from sliding down mountainsides. After World War II, the Wildland firefighting program expanded significantly, and the 4811 last officially earned the reputation and title of the Smokejumper last. It was the firefighters who put the 4811 on the map, transforming it from a regional logging boot into an American icon. Uncompromising construction on the 4811. The design of the 4811 last is inextricably linked to the traditional, heavy-duty construction methods utilized by White's boots. Hand-sewn stitch-down construction. Boots on the 4811 last, like the original Smokejumper, utilize an incredibly durable hand-sewn stitch-down construction. This is the linchpin of White's history. The crafting process. Master bootmakers painstakingly last, welt, and bottom the boot entirely by hand. Hand lasting ensures the leather upper tightens perfectly around the 4811's complex curves, while hand welting creates a highly water-resistant and durable seam. Hand bottoming secures the heavy leather midsole and all-leather shank, creating that legendary customizable arch support. Rugged components. Over the decades, the boots have evolved to include modern advancements without losing their heritage. In 1963, Vibram introduced their revolutionary rubber soles to North America, and White's bootmakers immediately began applying them to their boots. Today, the original Smokejumper built on the 4811 last features a 10-inch full-grain water-resistant leather upper to absorb high impacts, a leather midsole and shank, and a Vibram Fire and Ice White Dot sole for harsh environments. Furthermore, modern iterations use fire-resistant Technora thread and are fully NFPA certified for wildland firefighting. The 4811 in context, a comparison of lasts. To fully grasp the unique nature of the 4811, it is helpful to compare it against other historic lasts developed by Otto White and his successors. The 55 last. Developed shortly after the 4811 in the early 1930s, the 55 is the second most popular last and rivals the 4811 in requests. While it features a very similar arch profile, it has medium height and width in the toe box, making it slightly narrower and lower profile in the front than the 4811. It provides a slightly dressier silhouette and accommodates most feet with a faster break-in period. The C461 last. Originally designed for the Buffalo Shoe Company to prevent loggers from snagging branches, the C461 features a unique sprung or upturned toe. It provides a shallower toe box than the 4811 but maintains a similar arch. The 69 last. Built in 1936 for USFS mule packers. The 690 last features an even higher arch than the 4811 and an underslung heel for maximum support in the stirrup, combined with less room in the toe area. The Northwest last. In stark contrast to the 4811, the Northwest last has the lowest, flattest arch in the collection. It was designed for use with flat unit soles, like wedge soles, and offers immediate off-the-shelf comfort with a wider ball and deeper toe box. The lasting legacy of the 4811. The story of the 4811 last is the story of White's boots distilled into a single tangible object. It represents Otto White's ingenuity and his deep respect for the intense labor performed by the working class in the Pacific Northwest. For nearly a century, everyone from linesmen to hotshots, loggers, farmers, and forest rangers have relied on the forestry standard for forestry work, proving itself to be a boot capable of standing up to the absolute rigors of the trail. Today, the 4811 last is not just a piece of history. It is an active, essential tool. Whether it is used to build a custom pair of distressed brown rough-out boots for navigating city streets, or an NFPA-certified 10-inch black leather armor piece for a hotshot crew dropping into a fiery canyon, the 4811 last continues to perform its singular duty, providing unwavering, custom-fit support from the ground up. It is a testament to the fact that when a design is perfected to address a physical reality, it does not need to change with the trends. It only needs to endure.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe, share this channel, and come back. There's plenty of mountain left.